So like I literally start my analysis like this with nothing, just me and the charts. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like for me, like for instance, you know what I mean? Like say go to the 4 hour. So this is what I was looking at yesterday on the 4 hour to help me understand where I was in the markets. And that's why I called out what I did, right? So if you do this, boom, you got your 4 hour basically zone, right? And you can see here, if you go to the day charts, you can see here that if we break this area, man, the next highs are going to be up here. You know what I mean? So like there's tons of room to move if we do break this zone, which you can see it's trying, right? It's still there. You're still basically just above or just below this high, right? So I start on the 4 hours, but I basically try to go to the day to see how far it is. So like for me yesterday, this was like last week, you know what I mean? Boom. Tried to, didn't go. Tried to again, didn't go. So on top of that, you're also creating a triple top, 1, 2, 3, right? And now it went down, but it's still in that same fucking zone, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this is where I call this trade last night, which went fucking decent. I made a couple grand off of it, right? But if what you also have to understand is that there's always going to be potential for that pullback or something to potentially happen, right? So if you bring out your indicator, you can see here yesterday as well. RSI was at the extreme, right? It was at a 70, so it's basically it's wanting to sell.
In lieu of
And then your fucking TDI is wanting to sell too, right? And unfortunately, it got stuck in this.
So it says Merck.
Oh man. Unfortunately, it got stuck in this zone, right? So like that's what I always try to do. I basically go from the high to the smaller. So this was our trade yesterday. Boom, got in here, went down, right? Then it consolidated for the rest of the day, and then it spiked up. So this is what I'm basically saying is that if you're in these areas and it's fucking consolidating, well, there's a chance that it can go either way. It's 50-50, right? Either here or there. You can see here I had my alert for when it broke out on the downside. I wasn't expecting it to go up again, right? But in reality, what's happening here is a potential for, you know, another drop first off, or a breakout, right? But here's the thing is that we're dealing on the 15-minute charts most of the time. So once it broke out of here, I literally had another fucking resistance right here. And this is where I got in, right? I got in on this pullback and then it went up. And then it came back down. And then technically you could have done the same thing again. But if you're using your fibs, and this is why I'm saying I used every technique that I trade with this morning, right? Look at this. Boom. 618, right? You're in this golden zone. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you're right in the golden zone. 618 is right there. Literally, it touched it and then fucking went back. But here's the thing, guys. If you go and use your matrix, look what happened, right? After that big pull up, what happened? It came right back to the aqua, right? And it didn't shift. It still hasn't shifted, right? Here, let me just erase this here. And this is kind of why I basically said what I said, is because I want you guys to start thinking this way, because this is the only way you're going to fucking win, right? Look at this. It broke out of here. This is the consolidation that we were in last night. If I go to the 30-minute charts, it was stuck at the aqua, right? So we're technically still on an upward bullish trend. We're still there. We haven't broke this area here, right? So on the 30-minute, it was stuck on aqua. That's why you have to look at more than one time frame. But you can see here it ranged. From the time I went to bed and got out of this trade here, it ranged for hours, right? And then I got in again roughly around here for a sell because I figured it was going to go down, and it didn't. It fucking stopped me out right here. But as it did that, it broke out, okay? So now I can see it broke out of my structure, my consolidation structure, okay? So now it's bullish, right? And if you go to your 1 hour, look at this. Look at this 1 hour candle is fucking bullish, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, what can I potentially look at? So what did I do? I basically said, okay, well, I'm going to get in and wait for it to break this structure. So I got into it here, right? Rather than here, because it could have still pulled back and this could have been a fake out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I got in here because this was a structure that I wanted to understand. So I waited for it to come back here, and then I got in on this pull up. And it's the exact same thing I did on GU, right? GU did the exact same thing. And if I basically do the exact same analysis, you'll see exactly what I was looking at, right? So I go to the 1 hour, boom, it broke out of this structure right here, right? Now I waited for this pullback, and then I got in. Actually, where was that? 15 minutes. Yeah, so I got in here on this pullback right here, and then I got in for this up here. So I believe it went total of like 30 pips. Yeah, like close to 40 pips, right? So that's what I'm getting at is if you understand and mark up your charts by understanding where your highs are, boom, this is your consolidation box, right? And this is how you guys are going to win, by understanding where you are in context of the market. And if I get rid of the matrix, boom, look at these naked charts. Look at this. This sold from this high, and what happened? If you actually look at the higher time frame, what happened? It literally came to the trend, you know, this upward trend line. It came, touched it, and then shot up. This is a 4-hour candle. Look how bullish that is, right? So the next stop is going to be this high right here, right? But when you're looking at only the 15 minutes, you're looking at this as a potential sell, which it faked out. But here's the thing, guys. Look at this again. If you go from your trend to your trend, look at this. 618, 50. This is your golden zone. This is your golden fib zone, right? That's your entry area. And it hit it perfectly. And then here's another thing, guys. Look at this. You got your matrix. What happened right here? Look at that, the 800-day EMA. It hit the 800 and then boom, rejected. Why? Because it's still bullish, right? Look at your 4-hour. You're still bullish. You got your aqua. It came back and literally hit your aqua. That's what it came and hit on the 4-hour. Hit your aqua. This still hasn't shifted. Boom, bull, right? That's what I'm trying to help you guys understand is that 15-minute is not the only one. Look at this. Aqua, boom, rejected it. Hit the aqua, hit the 200, boom, rejected upwards, right? When you're looking at just the 15 minutes, it's not going to give you a good example of what could potentially happen, right? But even this, like, look at this. If you would have waited for this breakout here, look, you got a deal right here. And then you could have got in on this deal. And this is why I got in here, right? Because I can see, okay, well, it shifted, boom. Now it broke structure, okay, pullback, oof, 40 pips, right? And then what happens when you hit your high? Well, here, look at this. Your high right here, first off, it hit your ATR, right? This is your actual true range. This is your ATR for the day. And then it came back, retested the red, and then boom, now it's going back bullish, right? But here's the thing too, is that this pullback was on the extreme for the TDI, but it was also on the RSI here at the 70 line. So this is a great area for you to get out, maybe potentially wait for a pullback and then do the same thing over and over again. So I'm not telling you to fucking, you know, throw away the rules. The rules are there for a reason, but the thing is that you also have to start thinking on your feet so you can understand how you can master the markets and prosper. You know what I mean? Not just wait for a one-dimensional fucking method, which is great. Don't get me wrong. DeLorean is great. But when you basically use it, just to mention, that was also a perfect deal. Yeah, it was a perfect deal, man. It was an awesome deal. Like, look at this. Boom. Fucking came back down, hit the aqua, hit the freaking 200. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at the full analysis on the higher time frame, that's why I always start at the 4-hour. Okay? 4-hour is where I can understand what can potentially happen, right? And this is where you have to understand, okay, well, this is your lows, these are your highs, these are your extreme highs, right? So you can see here how it kind of respected this area, came here, respected again, came here, respected it again, broke out a little bit, right? But here's the thing is that you can always go back to your left and understand why things do things, right? So you can see here, that was a low there. This was an uptrend, right? There's a reason why these all did that, right? And that uptrend canceled out once it hit here. And then it did it again and again. But here you go. You're going to use that same structure to understand this. So this is your new uptrend. And you can see here, this was your resistance area, which is also in line with this right here. So this was your resistance, which now it broke through. So now this is your new zone. You can see that, right? This was a zone before. This was a zone before. This was a zone for a bit. Then it came back down. Now you're going to be trading in here and potentially up here, right? So if you look at the daily, what's left, right? You are literally at all-time highs, right? Look at that. You are right here. Boom. Look at this zone that you can now potentially look at, right? So this is huge resistance right here where we're at right now. We're literally right here. Look what happened. This is pre-COVID. This is COVID. This is the high of COVID, and then this was the crash of COVID. So we're literally at the COVID highs right now, or pre-COVID highs right now, right before it crashed. Boom. One day, the next day, and all the way down, right? So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, okay? So like this over here, when we were higher than that, that was 2018, right? Boom, 2018. And it wasn't up there for long. Actually, I guess it was. But here you go. This is the area, right? So right now, we're basically coming up towards these areas right now, right? So that's kind of what I want you guys to like really dig into, because Delo, don't get me wrong, Delo is amazing. I love DeLorean, right? But the thing is that you still have to do this. You still have to understand what is potentially happening in the market, right? You still have to do your analysis. Okay, well, where's my resistance? Where's my support? Why is price doing the things that it's doing right now? Why? You know what I mean? And my thought process on that is understanding as much as you can about multiple different ways of trading, like using your fibs, right? Fibs are used on trends, right? So if I was on an upward trend like this, well, look at here, right? The fibs never lie. Boom, 382, right? You go to your next one, 382, right? You go to your next one, 618, right? So these are all things that are there for you to master, right? Same thing goes if you use it over here, right? So let's see here. So if you use your fibs and like these areas, right? On a trend, boom, 618, right? Hit your 618, which is also your resistance, right? So your high, this is why I always say follow your trades. So once this pair here broke this area, boom, it created a new high, right? This is your support, or sorry, your resistance from your low, right? So it was ranging in this area before it broke out, right? Then it went for a high, and then boom, 618 retracement, then it continued on and on and on, right? That's why it's a good idea to understand the whole context of the markets, right? Like this right here is an Elliott wave, one wave, two wave. Yo.
When it so when you say it breaks out there, you're not getting in at the breakout. You're waiting it to go to the top, then come back down and hit the 618 there. That's where I'm kind of getting confused when you put it on there, because I see as it's breaking out, and I'm not sure to enter the trade as it's for the breakout or wait for it to come back and then hit the 618.
Yeah, no worries, man. And I appreciate you coming on here, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, I was just on a call with for an interview. So
yeah, no. That conversation in Slack, it was nothing. Okay.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay. So, but here, I was actually just going over the analysis of GU, GJ, and I also was looking at GA, so you guys can understand what I personally am looking at when it came to, like, let's say Patrick getting into that GA trade, and potentially will help you from, harm next time. But here, I'll go to GJ because that's the one that we were in. Okay. So this is what I was saying earlier, is that from the trade that we got into last night, this is where I called it, right? I called it from this high, right? So I got in roughly around here, roughly close to where the shift was, right? And then I basically got out around here, right? So this is my trade. And then you can see here overnight, it ranged, right? So when you're in this kind of a situation, this is why I have my support and my resistance right here. And you can see I had an alert down here waiting for it to drop, right? So this is going to be the breakout that I was going to wait for. Unfortunately, I got in again roughly around here, right? And I was actually break even. And then all of a sudden, I was expecting it to go down, and then it shot up. But this is the thing, right? If you actually zoom in, you can see it actually created a shift right here, and then it created a deload, right? So once it actually broke out of this area, that was your clue that, okay, now the momentum that I thought was happening, that it was going down, is not there anymore, right? So now you can see how bullish this is, right? This is on the 15-minute charts, but you can see this candle is super bullish and it broke free, it broke clean, right? So for me, okay, that was my first indicator. Okay, so now what I'm saying is to go and analyze what is there, right? So now your next highs are going to be this one and this one, right? So you can literally do it like this, right? So I got in for this one. So I wanted it to clear this one before I got in. So I got in, let it push out. I got in on this pullback, okay? And then I wrote it up to here, okay? So there's multiple ways of doing this. You could have got in here, you could have got in there, or you could have waited for this pullback roughly around here, right? And then just like the thing is, when you're looking at pullbacks, you're also, what I'm also looking at too is where the TDI is or where the RSI is. So the black line is the RSI, right? So you can see here, it was at the 50 when it broke out, right? And then when I got in here, it was just close to the 70 and the 80. So for me, I knew that this was not going to be a long-term trade, that it was just going to be a short burst. But if you time it correctly, right, you can get in for, I think this one went like 15 pips for me, right? So I had it basically there, 10 pip stop loss, and I had it for, yeah, 26 pips, right? Which is not a lot, but with the right numbers, with the right number lot size, you can make good money on that, right? So here you go. And then it went to the extreme, right? And you can also see here on the TDI, let me just, RSI, on the TDI, what happened, right? Is shark out of water, right? Yeah. So now you know that there's going to be a pullback happening. But what happened was it literally pulled back to your previous structure. So this is another area that you could potentially get in on. You can see here, it came right back to the aqua and it didn't actually shift. It didn't shift. It just supported the red, came down to the aqua, and then boom, pushed up again. So by understanding how DeLorean works and understanding how the EMAs correlate with the market, and then also with structure, this is where you're going to win, right? By understanding that, okay, when price breaks out of structure, what happens usually? It comes back and retests, right? So that's exactly what happened here. It came back, retested for it to then potentially get in. I personally wouldn't have gone into this second one just because it is out of the time range. So this is something that we can look at for tomorrow, right? Or tonight, I guess I can say. But for me, this was sufficient enough, right? This GJ and also GU. So GU is actually doing very good. So I got in on this breakout here. You can see how it broke out. And then I got in on this pullback. And then I got in for, I think it was like 30 pips, right? But again, my stop loss was super thin, right? My stop loss was literally like 5 pips, 8 pips. And then I basically wrote it out to the high. But what I'm getting at, Ryan, is basically understanding how to win in any market, right? And really, what I'm looking at here is like DeLorean, like I showed you guys in the Slack group there, like those screenshots that I sent you guys. This is a DeLorean, right? I was thinking that they were going to sell, right? I was thinking that GJ, GU, EJ, all of those, I thought all of those guys were going to fucking come down because there's so much room in here. to fill, right? And it's been ranging up here for a while, right? And the thing is, it can still potentially drop. You know what I mean? It could literally be creating a massive triple top right here, 1, 2, 3, and then tomorrow we can fucking fill in this blank, right? But what I'm getting at is when we're trading in the morning sessions on the 15-minute charts, there's more than enough in here to fucking make a killing, right? That's 132 pips right there. That's 196. That is 236. So there's enough right here to feed all of us, right? But what we need to understand is how to capitalize on what is happening right here, right? Because you, like with you running a funded account now, like if you would have got in on this breakout right here and understood the power of breakouts, then you could then definitely take advantage of this with a 2.5 or a 5 lot. You know what I mean? Right? And the reason I say, and the reason I mentioned this earlier, and I understand that it doesn't fully fit into the trading plan that Tyrone and Patrick talk about. But here's the thing, it does. It's still following exactly what the DeLorean is doing. You know what I mean? Like it's literally showing you a DeLorean right here, right? It came down, it tested this trend line, right? Right here. Like if you do your fibs from, and that's the thing, man, I'm using multiple confirmations, right? I'm using my fibs, I'm using my DeLorean, I'm using my trends, I'm using my support and resistance. I'm putting all of that together to fully understand what is fully happening around me, right? There's never going to be a surprise of, oh, well, why did this spike up? Well, it spiked up because it hit your 800-day, 200-day, your aqua, your trend, and your support, and your 618. So how many confluences were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? There's 7 confluences there. Whereas some people, what they do, and in here, if you do another one, okay, boom, extreme, right? You're in the bands on your TDI. And then if you do your RSI, look at your RSI. Your RSI was at the 20, right there. So what's going to happen? Buy, right? And then here, I'm going to go over GA because GA kind of pissed me off why he even called that. Let me just do this. So if I take out all of my indicators, so this is the analysis that I gave you guys on the weekend, right? So if I go to the 4 hour, right? So this is still in the same range that I charted up, right? You can see here it broke out once, it broke out twice, but it's still ranging, right? But what GA has been doing, and you can see here, I can put it in a couple more supports and resistance, right? You got one here, right? You got, they're everywhere, right? But once you actually start going down to, let's say, the hour, you can see right here, fucking GA has been ranging, right? And then when Patrick called fucking GA for a sell, right? He called it right here. And if I put my matrix on, right? So he called it, where was that? I think it was right here.
Yeah, it was that.
It peaked out for fucking like 11 pips and then it came right back up. So yeah, it was right here. So you can kind of see here, it was close to shifting. You know what I mean? Like the red is already above, right? But the thing was is that for me to have gotten into something like this, it would have had to have broken and closed, right? You can see here it broke, but and then it peaked right back in. It didn't actually close outside. Enough for me to say. But here's the other thing too, and this is what I was looking at as well, right? So if I take off the TDI, right? What's happening right here? fucking the RSI is literally down by the 30. Right? So for me, because I've been burnt many times with like US 30 or gold on breakouts, I don't get into breakouts if they're this close to the line. Right? And this is where he called it. He literally called it like right here. Right? I believe that was his trade right there. 10 pip stop loss, and who knows how many pips he was going to go for. But like, probably that. You know what I mean? But for me, this thing has been ranging. So I would have put an alert somewhere down here, and I would have waited for either a breakout and retest or a clean breakout. You know what I mean? Sort of like what GA or GU did, where it was like a fucking clean breakout. Right? So I'm not trying to add to the plate. I'm basically just trying to show you guys what I have been using. Because like I've learned tons from Manny. I've learned the fibs and all that kind of stuff from his shit. I know a lot of you guys have as well. That was probably a lot of good information to have. Because what I want to basically say is you still need to do your full analysis. You know what I mean? And what I do is always start from the 4 hour, go down to the 1 hour, and then I use my 15 minutes as my confirmation. And as you can see here, like, look at this thing. GU is bullish, right? So I closed out here. You could have still probably gotten on this pullback. So you can see here, it pulled back to the structure. So if you would have gone in again, that's another 40 pips, right? 36. So you could have gone in on this one twice. As you can see here, came back down, retested, but you can see it's bullish. You know what I mean? You can see that the market is bullish on GU, right? You can see here it was extreme, came back down, retested, which is also came down and retested the red, right? On a trending market, it always comes down to red. On a regular market, it comes down to GU, and that's the thing. You also have to look at the strength, right? So G and U, USD is weak, GBP is strong, right? So those are all confluences that you need to use to understand what is potentially going to happen in the markets. But yeah, that's I'm not trying to confuse you, man. I'm just trying to basically help you master this a little bit better. You know what I mean? Do you have questions about any of that? You got any questions? I think you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you.
I think that's what was confusing me is like I just kind of pushed away everything that we taught before the 618, like looking for structure and breaking. I was just only looking for the delos and stuff like that, right? I wasn't using, that was my question, was how do you know when to get back into a trade? Not revenge trade, but like, okay, the market's going the other way now. How do we know when to get in if it's going to go the opposite way?
Yeah. No,
and
absolutely.
not do it on an emotional basis. Like I need to make my fucking money back.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's basically it, man. Like what I've noticed since using DeLorean is that everything happens with like trend lines, let's say. Trend lines, supports and resistance all happen because of the EMAs, right?
Yeah.
All of them. Like this example here. This was the 800, right? Let's see here. Like you got to kind of go through all of the time frames, though, right? You got to go through like the higher time frames to see why things stop where they did, right? So like if you don't see something happening in that area, what do you call it? In that area because of the EMAs, check out another time frame, right? You can see here, like this resistance right here in this area was because of the aqua, right? Same here, same here, same here. You know what I mean? So that's kind of one of the things that I've noticed, and then also too is that if it's happened there in the past because of the EMAs, well, that's where you got to like move your your support and resistance over so that you can then use that as confluence for future events, right? But yeah, like you still need to do your full analysis. And like, I don't know if you were on when I first said this, but I always start my full analysis without any indicators. So I don't use my TDI, I don't use my RSI, I don't use the matrix or any of that shit. I turn them all off and it's just me and the charts, right? And then that way I can basically say, okay, what's happening? Like what is going on? That's where you're gonna see like, okay, this resistance here, that's why I have my TP here at the top here, is because most likely it's going to go to the top of those highs, right? And if you use your ADR, I like this thing because it shows you the top here is literally at 125% for the day. And usually GU goes 125%, right? So I just basically did it between 100 and 125, right? But yeah, always start your day or always start your analysis by just literally understanding what is happening, why it's doing that. Like something like this. So like you got, you know, this is your upward trend, right? This is on the 4 hour. So this is extreme. So let's do that there. And this is where it broke. So I'm just going to kind of go over this a little bit more. So like for me, when something like this happens, right? So this is your upward trend. This is a fake out, right? This was a fake out where it came out of the trend and then boom, it sucked you right back in. But one of the things you would have done was to have your resistance there, right? So it didn't break resistance. But for me, for this to finish as an upward trend, this happened, right? So this candle broke my trend and then created its own, right? And then it basically retested on the high, on the underside, and then went down. So it didn't actually sell from there. Like a lot of people have the tendency to look at this and be like, oh, well, now it's going to just completely drop, okay? As you can see, it's just gone sideways from here. But this is still a big enough area to catch more than enough pips, right? This is the 4 hours. So if we go and dumb it down, we can see it on a different scale, right? So this upward trend finished for me here. And you can see it faked out, went back, hit the resistance again, and then look, this is what all the traders were, and this is why this happens in these areas. All the traders were waiting for this confirmation. And then once they got it, boom, they took it and ran with it, right? And then you basically use your resistance areas. So you can see here it broke, right? But then you have the over exhaustion in these areas that basically showed you, okay, well, now it's potentially going to turn around. And you can see here, your RSI is at the just over 20. So it's in the extreme zone, right? And if I bring in my TDI, right, you can see right here that this was wanting to start buying because it's down at the lower band. So like those are all the things that I use, man, to help myself understand where the market is going. And then during trending markets like this, then I start using my fibs. I start using the matrix. I start using all the knowledge that I basically have amassed and the different confluences to help me understand what is potentially going to happen, right?
I think that's my problem too, is when I started DeLorean, I started to ignore the basics. And now I really got to go back and, like you do, take off all the MAs, take off all the TDIs and just kind of draw it out first and then basically go from there. So that's something that I'll have to work on.
Yeah, honestly, man. And that's the thing, man. Like you can potentially get stuck on just being fully dependent on this, but it doesn't give you a good enough picture. You know what I mean? At least not for me. Like for me, that's where I get confused and I'm just like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? And I hate that. That's why I always start with this. You know what I mean? And like even something like this, right? So let's say this GJ, which went bullish, came back down and potentially going rising again. So like, here you go, right? So right now, it's at a trend, right? So you can see here, this is another thing that I look for. I look at the yellow and the red a lot because this is what's going to tell me if it's going to break or not. If it crosses here, boom, it's going to break, right? But I also have the extra confirmation with my trend line, right? And then I use my TDI. Okay, so you can see here, this just showed me a sell signal on the TDI, right? So this is potentially going to drop, right? I also just got that on the MACD. And then also you have your first red bar. But the thing is that it's not a confirmation until these cross, the shift happens, right? It's not a full confirmation until the shift happens. But here you go. I also use my RSI on my TDI. So everything is showing me down, right? You got a cross here on the MACD. You got your sell signal here on your TDI, right? You're just above the 50. Your RSI is showing you a sell, right? So now, and then here you got 6 minutes left to the next candle. So if this closes below candle, what you can do then is basically wait for it to drop, retest, and then boom, right? And then another thing too, so fibs aren't just meant to go one way, right? So here you go. What happened here? So I'm just going to erase this other one. What happened here, right? So you went from a high to your low, boom, right back to your 618, boom, right? So your fibs work both ways. And I know that can be confusing, but the thing is that you just have to go with what the market is giving you. And what the market is giving you right now is a potential sell, right? And the way that you're going to confirm that is by understanding that your trend line is here. If this trend gets broken, well then, boom, you're in for a sell, right? Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what was kind of fucking me up, man, because they talk about doing like a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 risk to reward, but like I can honestly say there's not many times that it goes the full distance of their 1 to 3. It's like get out of the trade, or we're due for pullback, and then you pull back, take partials, and it breaks even. Like I'm just not seeing the consistency of these 1 to 2, 1 to 3 trades that they always talk about. Like, yeah, it makes great sense in theory and all, but I mean, I'm just not. I'm up, and then I'll go like 3-4 trades where it's the -1, -2%, then I'm back down to break even again. So I don't know if there was something that I'm doing wrong in DeLorean Nation, or it's just like I'm missing something there, because I just don't see the 1 to 2 actually always working. It's like you're getting out with 10. They're predicting 40 pips, and then they're like dipping out at 15, but you're risking 15 to start with, projecting it to go to 45. But it doesn't go to 45.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly,
that's kind of like the controversy that I'm having with it. It's like, well, you're not fucking hitting your TPs though. You're getting out.
I'd rather have that though than risk 40 pips and fucking TP smash 15 pips every time, right?
I agree 100%. Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. Like
I'm just going over what the scanner called, and there was lots of calls overnight, and sometimes they're better overnights. But with what you were saying there, Omar, like for me, I understand the bigger picture with like the DeLorean now, because I've like been through everything. But I mean, the structure obviously helps. That stuff helps. But when you understand almost all of it, like you can really get the bigger picture with it. Especially with like blue waves and stuff like that, and mapping out your week and shit, like picking your pairs to actually trade. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like I really stick to the pairs that I like. So it's like GU, EU now. I like EU as well. GJ, EJ, and I use like GA and then EA. So very like the reason I have the pairs like the E and the G with the back end pair is because sometimes the one shows me something different than the other. You know what I mean? Like the one, let's say the GJ shows me a sell, and I'm kind of confused on EJ. Well, usually they have good confluence. You know what I mean? So like one could potentially show me something better than the other, or one could potentially drop better than the other. Like here, EJ yesterday, this was EJ. We got into GJ. This one went further than GJ. So I wish I would have gone into this one because it went 66 pips, but it was because the euro got super weak compared to JPY, right? But what I'm getting at basically is like watch the vectors. I personally like that. 1 second here. Let me just add this on here. And that's why I stick to really a couple pairs, because 1 second, session breaks. There you go. Because you can literally see like what is potentially going to happen, right? So like here, this is A range, right? So let me just block this out here. So this is like the start of the A range, right? So what I like to do is just kind of like block it out. And on the matrix, it does this automatically, right? So this was 0, 0. And I'm used to this because I trade a lot of the accumulation, manipulation, distribution, which is exactly the same as A range, vector, shift, right? So you can see here, it created a low. It was attracted to the gray, right? Went for a high. So this is where the structure comes into play, right? Because you can see here, it came almost to this lower structure, your support area, right? And then it vectored up. So this is, what would you say this is a manipulation, Mitchell?
No, well, usually the manipulation is counter trend, right? Like the vector is like, because you're bullish right now. Aqua is above the 200, 800's going up, so your vector would be to the low, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always counter trend.
Okay.
So I mean, you can't even really call it like that little bit that peaked out of the A range. I mean,
yeah, no, that's,
you can call, yeah, because the A range, I mean, your A range should be, I don't know, like if you put the actual matrix on, you could see, but maybe it would shrink a little bit.
it is on the matrix. Oh, I think I don't have the.
Yeah, like the actual box.
Goes on A range. Where is it?
You're looking at GU.
Oh, here it is. So, there you go. Perfect. Oh yeah. So yeah, it ended exactly where I put it. To just.
Yeah. So it did. You can call that a vector. I mean, it's small as fuck, but the thing is with the vector, then you want a good W, which
It didn't do.
I mean, if you look on the line chart, it kind of is a W. Like if that one kind of like doji candle actually like was a little bit more bearish, that would have been perfect. But you could call that a W. So that is, yeah.
So like you can see here, kind of little
Yeah,
flip, and then boom.
It's weak, but I mean it is a W. You can call it a W. So
Yeah.
that could be it. You could have vector to the low, W shift up, entering on the pullback.
Yeah. So this is,
Not crazy pips, but
would
you
have been
can
the
catch
setup.
something.
exactly.
What's
And the thing is too, it's like it especially on something like this, it doesn't just do one. You can see here it created an M up here. So this was showing you already that it was wanting to go bearish, right? But once you actually start understanding the structure, like where here's your trend line on the upward trend, because we still are in an upward trend, right? We're still bullish. You can see here it came down out of the A range, did its thing. This was your low of the day, right? And then boom, it went for the high of the day at that point. Then it created a M because it's basically hitting the structure, which is where we mapped it out previously, right? And then it shot down to the Aqua and also the 800, which is also the trend, to then shoot up, right? So like, you don't have to only get into one trade per day, right? Like you don't. And that's why I follow just a couple of pairs, right? Like I don't trade EU and GU at the same time. I don't trade GJ and EA and EJ at the same time. I basically,
And GJ had just disgusting consolidation all night. Like what
Yeah.
is that?
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like GJ,
Like that's where Delos like those like there was one or two called in there, but those are fucking trash. Like
yeah,
I mean, the first one it's hard to tell because if you went to GJ and you looked like right out of the right out of the A range, oh, little vector down, pull back up. Maybe we're gonna continue down. You get a DeLorean. It's like, I mean, that dead ass, I would have played that first DeLorean on GJ because that's a BTS.
Yeah.
That's like
This one here.
yeah, you would have just ranged out, and I mean, fucking, you could have came out in profit, obviously, but I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, BTS between the sheets. So I mean, you have to be in between the Aqua and the 200 for at least an hour and a half, and then boom, pulls back to the Aqua, throws a DeLorean off of it. Like, I would have played it.
But here's
Would
the
I have
thing.
made a lot of money? Probably not, but
Yeah.
it would have made something.
Well, I used an 8 watt on this, so that's fine. But anyways, what do you call it? So here's the thing, though, right? Like, I'm using the rules of DeLorean, not to the T, right? I'm using my own rules because I understand more of the bigger picture, right? So for me, and this is why I just brought this over, right? You can see here how it consolidated in this area, but if you bring it over, you can see that this is a resistance area, right? And that's why I brought it over. And this is why I got out here yesterday. I got out here. I was also going to sleep. This was at like 1 in the morning. I was also going to sleep. So when I woke up, I literally saw this junk, right? And unfortunately, I impulse bought for a sell here, and then it spiked me out. So whatever, I got out. Still was in profit. But the thing is that it literally ranged in here. And then here's another thing too. Like, I've done institutional trading. Like, I've learned about it. This right here is an institutional candle, right? Whenever you see something like this on like a strong push down and then a strong push up, that's usually an indication of a bank. You know what I mean? Institutional numbers, right? And if we actually go to close to the 600. But anyways, that's usually a sign that there's strong resistance in this area because you got a strong push down and then just equally or bigger push upwards, right? That's usually a sign that there's something going on there, right? So then this is your resistance. So you can see, which is supported very good over the last little bit. So moving forward, this would be an area of interest for it to then potentially break down on. And you can see here, this trend line, boom, you can see it broke, shifted, and now it's potentially going to retest and then continue going down, right? So there you go. You got your TP would be 35 pips. Your stop loss is 13. That's a 2.6 risk to reward, right? That's how easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, the shift happened, and this is what I'm mainly looking for. I'm looking for shifts. You know what I mean? I'm looking for the shift.
That's pretty much a P50 there around the
Yeah. And then if you look at there you go.
target the Aqua.
And I told you, right? Your TDI gave you that sell signal right here, right? So for me, that is an easy.
Is that right now on GG? That's right now on GG, right?
Yeah, that's what I just marked up on there. I was just talking about that. GU is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, so I need to figure out, like, Tyron has like more advanced stuff on P50, and like I want to figure it out so bad. More in like the entry side of things, because on GJ, like, yeah, honestly, if I seen that, I would have taken it. You have like the perfect M, and then boom, it just fucking dumps to the Aqua, man. Like, it so many times it happens, and I've seen it, but it's just on your entry, like, you can take it on the top of the second leg of the M, but it's being more risky. But like, as I was saying to you, if you see it break the second leg, right, going down on the M, then like that can be your entry too. So
well, look at this one here, right? You got your M here. It just broke trend, and now it's broke, retested, potential down, right? So you can literally change these over and over again. So it literally EJ for the day went. I don't know. That's bullish. Never mind. 1 second here. So
Hey Omar, what pairs did you say that you? I feel like I'd like to do that. Just focus on like 4 pairs and kind of combine everything instead of bouncing around all over the place. That's another thing that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I I stick to the pairs that I like, but I also jump into delos from the scanner.
Yeah, but which ones do you focus on to like start to like you know after time looking over and over again at those charts? Like what are those ones that you like?
Yeah, it's GU, so Great Britain Pound USD.
Yeah.
I use Euro USD as well. So those two are connected together. I don't usually trade them at the same time.
Yeah.
I do GJ and EJ. And I don't trade those at the same time either. So all of those together can paint a good picture for you because all of them really do very similar things.
Okay.
Okay. And then I also like GA. So Great Britain Pound, Australian dollar. And that's pretty much it.
So it'd be good to just continually like keep looking at those, draw your structures up, seeing how they're moving, breaking, retesting, knowing where the highs and lows are, and just get familiar with those, and then jump on the Delo sessions just for kind of added stuff. That's kind of like where I was. That's the big confusion that was happening for me, because through the initial training it was like just find two pairs that you like, and then like everything's great there. I understand like 618, all that's very valuable, and then Delo's like you got like 30 different pairs you're focusing on. So like I never really have enough time to look at a pair and be like, okay, it did this at this time, it's breaking this, and have all my lines drawn out, and just it's kind of where.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't suggest you trying to analyze all of those. That's kind of why those are there, right? So like for me, what I do when there's a Delo called on the scanner, first and foremost, I look for structure, right? And then the thing I do is I never go into the initial like advanced entry. I always wait for the pullback, the Patrick push. I always wait for the Patrick push. And the thing is that if it doesn't enter, it doesn't enter.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly
That's
it.
like what Abel says, if there's no pullback, there's no entry. And I really like it because some of them I've seen that like not all of them, like almost all of them are fucking money risk to reward, but some of them are like, yeah, you needed to pull back on that one, 1 to 2. I'm like, yeah, straight up, I'm not taking it. Fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they wins, but they're only like 1.5, 1.6, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just sticking.
Yeah, Abel kind of trades a little bit more like how you do, Omar. Like he kind of looks for structure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's more institutional. He's more institutional, right? And honestly, for me, like that, it works great because like it gives me the what's the word?
Confidence.
Confidence, but it also kind of like it eases my worries. You know what I mean? Because for me, I've traded structure for so long that I understand that there's a reason why fucking shit's stopping in its place, right? And that's why I love Delo, because like a lot of those areas where why is it stopping here? Now I know, because it's at EMA. You know what I mean? So like what I do and adding Delo was like the best thing that could ever happen to me.
That G-Odd was such an ass call. I was like, I don't know. I got it like when it pulled way back up to the top. I got in and like lost like 2 pips or a pip on it. But I mean that was fucking trash, man. If I seen that, like it's like you either get like I have to pay more attention to analyzing a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't fucking lose the whole thing. No way.
Well, here's the thing, right? So this is it. This was the trade, and this is like I was saying earlier. This is the analysis that I gave you guys over the weekend, right? So you can see here how it's been ranging in this area. Like it's at this support and it's at this resistance, and it's been here for the last week, right? A couple weeks. But now this last week, this is where it's been ranging. This is like range within the range, right? And then when he called that, it was literally right here. And it literally peaked out, boom, shot up, just to go in range again. And this is why I said that that's why you want to always understand what is happening in the market and like what is happening with these trades. Because first and foremost, this is another reason why I added the RSI back to my TDI, is because, and at a scalping, I have it at a 5, is because you're going to see a little bit more with it, right? So like you can see here where he called it, it was already down at the 30, right? So for it to then break out and then have more momentum to continue going, it's not going to happen, right? I've been burnt many times in the past with gold and US 30 where I got in a breakout when it was like, it was a fucking clear buy. You know what I mean? It was a clear buy or a sell depending on which way it was going. But it was a fake out, right? And that's what happens with fake outs. Always look at your RSI or your TDI, whichever one. I would say more RSI at a scalping setting and see where it's at. Because I never get in a breakout if it's already fucking maxed out. If it's already at the 20 or the 30 or the 80, leave it alone, right? That's one of my rules. And you can see there, like here it happened again, right? So boom, it faked out and it was already here at the 80. You know what I mean? And look what happened. Boom, right back into the box. So GA is literally fucking playing games right now.
There's about, I'm just going, man, there's a lot of fucking calls on Delo last night, but there's like, man, they're like, if you know what you're doing, they're pretty easy to filter out the shitty ones here. And
Yeah, absolutely.
there's at least 5 that I've found now that have went full to TP, like fucking money moves. Like I'm, just because of the news at like 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock tomorrow, like Powell speaking, I'm going to stay up tonight and just trade London because fuck Powell. That's why.
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, man, I've been getting into trades just as London starts.
Yeah.
And then getting in quickly. Like the thing is, for me, I don't need 40, 50 pips. If I get them, great. But I don't need. I need
like that AN today, I think like it was like 5 pips. Man, that AN ended up going it through it. I wasn't even watching, but we took AN and yeah, just pulled up, hit stops. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then boom, hit another Delo and fucking just went to town, man. I was like, okay. I wasn't watching. I would have taken it again 100%, but that's yeah. That's the thing.
I see based on the analysis, Omar, I think, and Mitchell's, the best shifts do happen during that London time. Like I've been analyzing what I've done, Ryan, just to add to that point Omar added, is I've picked up 5 pairs, very similar to what Omar did, and just been analyzing the shit out of them. And I've been finding more consistency in the last like 4 days that I've been doing that. I'm a little bit in the blue, but I feel more confident when they show up on the DeLorean. I just kind of double down on the lot size, still keeping like, instead of putting like 1%, I'll put like 3% instead.
Okay.
Because I've already have my structure, I already feel confident it's gonna go up or down, and then based on that Delo call, I just get the extra confirmation. But I really want to catch these shifts at the beginning of the London sessions where they're down 50, 60 pips easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
that's usually the vector. Like the kill zone is 6 to 10, but from like, what is it, 1 to 6 or 2 to 6? That's usually when it vectors, and then it like raid usually as the kill zone starts is when it shifts. But sometimes it'll shift a bit earlier. I mean, you can even play vectors up and stuff like that too.
Just gotta fix my sleep. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so that's like 2 to 6 a.m. my time. So I gotta switch it up a little bit and just try to.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and sleep all day today, and yeah, it seems like shit's moving more in London just recently.
Yeah.
The past like 2 weeks have been a little wonky. I mean, no excuses, but
yeah, I've actually done like a little bit of homework.
Holy shit! No.
When I first started, a little bit. Yeah.
Post there, Omar.
But anyways, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time AM is usually a good shift.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did an Excel sheet and I picked GU and I wrote down every time that it shifted with at least 30 or 40 pips more, and it was always around between 3 to 345.
Absolutely.
And I did that with Delos. I marked up every single Delo on GU, and then the day after we did that, we played a Delo on GU on the session. I'm like, man, this is 100. I've seen this like fucking 15 times. Exact time, man. It's always and I took pictures of them all, and I still have them.
3 in the morning, I usually.
Yeah. I think it's like 9 o'clock to 9:30 UTC, which I think is like right around I think that's
why
right
don't
on
you
the
just change your time to New York?
I don't know how to do it.
It's at the bottom
Where?
where time zone. Like
UTC.
click on the timer.
Oh shit! I can go UTC for New York.
Yeah, go UTC for New York, and then that way you're synced right up to New York.
Man, no way. Dude, I've been like fucking
Trying to figure out the times.
yeah. So
Funny.
okay,
Yeah, like honestly, when it
that one's
comes,
gonna screw me up with this.
now you're all used to the other one. But no, like I personally I get
Yeah, it's just
flustered.
boring.
I get flustered by looking at too many pairs. Like
Right.
super flustered. And I've done it before where I had like literally every pair on my watch list. And I do right now. Well, that's why I color coordinate mine, right? So I have the red ones as literally the only ones that I trade. And it's a mixture of literally three of them. Either GUGA or sorry, GUGJGA or EUEJEA. And that's really all I stick to. And I do one at a time, right? And then, like I said, is if anything comes up on Delo for a potential setup, like Mitchell said, he basically, what I basically do is look to see if it's a good one. If it's not, boom, I go to the next. I don't waste time on thinking about shitty fucking trades that aren't going to work. And then when I do find one, then I basically just do a small analysis. I wait for the pullback and I enter. I usually do like a sell limit or a buy limit for those pullbacks, and then I wait. So I'm not like hovering and just watching, you know what I mean? And then I kind of like occasionally go back to them. And if they're close to the entry and you can see that it's potentially going to go in the direction that you want it to go, and it hasn't activated my sell limit or buy limit, I will enter. And I delete my original one. There's been times where I didn't delete him and I had both, and it's been great. But I'm not telling you guys to do that, but that's what I do, and that's why I don't like to waste too much time with other pairs. I'll let the scanner do it. And like what Ali said, is that who this is?
I'm Ali's brother. Yeah, we look alike.
Oh, okay. Sorry, man.
It's all good, bro.
Everybody
confuses us too.
Yeah, I can't see your name right now, but
Yeah,
but also sorry, what's your name then?
Mustafa, bro.
Mustafa. Oh, okay, Mustafa.
Yeah.
But,
Ali's younger brother.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what Mustafa was saying is when there's a Delo on the pairs that I watch, that's when I go in.
Yeah.
Because then I have everything analyzed already for them.
And Ryan, I raised the same frustration the other day with my team, and Nafis was on that call about the ratio between like we never hit these ratios. Even when I was doing that, when I was all over the place on pairs, but now that I picked the ones Omar recommended and just kind of sticking to those, I'll have more confidence that it will go to that higher structure, resistance, or support. Yeah. So even if it does like a pullback, I'll still stay in the trade and be like, no, based on the analysis and my structure, it's still going to go in there. But they base their exits based on like the 5 minutes LCs or VBCs and so forth, which is great, but you'll have more confidence hitting these TPs once the structures have been built within your charts. I was going like last week, I literally went crazy. I'm like, I never reach my TP. It's never the same ratio. They're just claiming it to make it like seem all good and all pretty, but I get it. I get like I was on the same boat as you last week, and I just been trying the last 4 or 5 days of trading the method just Omar recommended, and try it out, test it out, and see how you'll feel more confident.
That's what I feel. I don't want to disqualify anything else that we were doing before. That's why I was wondering because when like with like Gold Cup and Mitchell and I were doing that before, like that's exactly what they were doing. They're like waiting for the break and then waiting for the retest and then getting in.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like you're kind of playing with just the breakout here without getting in on the retest, so to speak. And that's when Abel kind of comes in. He, like they say, don't get in after the Delo candle, but Abel will say, well, if it retests, then we can get back in. So he kind of does his own thing with it, right?
Yeah. And what helped me too is I've started my training here with Manny's courses. He has a Bootcamp 8 course. Yeah. I started there, and once I got to Delo, I kind of stayed away from it. But now I went back because I never hit the charts when I watched Manny's. I actually went back and I watched 3 or 4 of his videos. Yeah. You'll see it in a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I did go through those already at back in April there.
Yeah.
And then,
Try it again.
Okay.
Review it quick again. It will bring back so much that you'll have these aha moments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly it. Like for me, when I first got into DeLorean, that was like an aha moment for me because I had already learned so much from Manny and everybody else that I learned from, right? So it was like, okay, I have the structure, I have all this. Like what DeLorean is really good for is trend trading, right? You trade with the trend. And the beautiful thing is like
That's why we got spanked today, man. Everything was just consolidating.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. Like everything was showing bullish and we were selling.
I've never seen pins and railroads as much as today.
Yeah.
Man, they were huge wicks. Like I was like, holy, they're trapping everyone.
Well, look at GA right now. It just faked out again. Right?
GA?
Yeah, GA just broke out on the down and then freaking went right back up. Right there. It's just trapping people. So this right here, this is institutional. So there's a good chance that this is probably going to go up. So GA. So you can see here, boom, A. Fairly strong. GA is pretty strong. So yeah, it's basically they're fighting against each other. They're both really strong right now. But yeah, like that's exactly it. Where is that? Here. And like another thing too, like I said earlier, look at this. You're selling when it's already like extremely low. So that trade from earlier, that was not a good call. You can see here it was down at the 30 as well. So I never get into breakouts if they're already like exhausted, you know what I mean? Because you got to think of it this way. If it's breaking out and it's already exhausted on the RSI or the stochastic or the TDI, how much room does it have to go, right? And a clear example of that was with GU today, right? It broke out, it did its thing, and then as soon as it got up to where it stopped, where was it? It was at the extreme, right?
Yeah, it was at the 70.
Yeah. So for me, that was a clear indication of getting out, and I got out with 20-something pips, right? And then it came back, retested. I was thinking about getting back in and doing it again, but fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm done for the day. And then we got in an argument online and felt cool. But no, like,
Wow,
No, I like him, man. This is how it is.
no, like honestly, like for me, I'm not gonna say it's frustrating. I just want everyone to see the things that I see. You know what I mean? And that's why, I bring my 2 cents into it. And which, honestly, yes, I 100% agree. It contradicts everything you guys are learning. But the thing is that I'm trying to give you guys more eyes, right?
Hey, we got the push alerts. Let's go.
What?
Fuck yeah, that'll be good for tonight. I'm gonna have to just be a
push alerts
fucking
on
shrimp
Telegram
and
now.
stare at the computer all night.
Nice. I might actually stay up tonight too then.
Yeah, I'm staying up.
Okay, let's go then.
But no, that's kind of it. Like I just kind of want you guys to understand what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was mainly my question today, man. That was just because you're getting in at different times. I'm just like, hey, like how is he seeing this, right? What my issue was, I totally just threw away all the other training that I did with Manny stuff, right? I just completely forgot about the 618, and I have drawn it up a couple times. Like I have taken some trades on my own that did go the right way, with using the fib and stuff like that. But when it was over and done with, I'm like, was that just a fucking fluke, or did I actually analyze that right?
Omar, you know that guy that in the elite group there, he has one fully funded FTMO account, and he was doing 2 challenges, and they're on the verification process, fucking inches away from getting them all violated today.
What? By that spike?
Man, all accounts FTMO violated by $300. Price spiked and exceeded my stop loss. Going to start over on one account again.
Oh no,
dude! Cam saved my fucking ass today because I was like, whatever, we had L's today, and I was like, man, if I took like one more 2% loss, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking blow the challenge if I lose 2 more percent. Like on the daily limit, I was like, okay, if I lose $5,000, I wasn't even thinking about it though. So I was like, in my personal, I was like, I don't give a fuck. And then, but on FTMO, it's Cam's like, yeah, make sure you're nowhere near your 5%. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. probably hit one more, I'd be getting damn close. So
Oh yeah, man.
yeah, fuck, man. Yeah, he had his, and 2 on the verification process blown, man.
Oh.
Omar, quick
But, like,
question.
is he not
Oh,
using a
sorry.
stop loss?
No, he is, but he said it exceeded my stop loss. Like I said, like gapped or glitched or some shit, man. Fuck.
So
Sucks.
he should probably go back to them with that though. You should tell them that. You should say, hey, contact freaking support because they can fix that if they can see that he had a stop loss in place.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Mustafa?
Sorry, I was gonna ask you, do you trade on the pullback based on your 618?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
The only pullbacks that I trade on that are on trends.
Like, would you have gotten in that GU that you have on the screen when
Here?
it hit the top ATR?
Here?
Like if you draw your fib from the bottom where you have your resistance, yeah, from the 1.31263.
Yeah, it was at the 382.
Oh, do you draw it from there or from the low?
Well, for me, I kind of look at different ways, right? So, because this little red candle here stopped there, I sometimes do it from there. But if you do it from the low, then yeah, it's still fairly close to the 382.
Okay.
Right, but I kind of do it from every stage. So every stage has its like. So you can see this was a slight pullback.
Yeah.
Right, and then it blew up. So then I
Okay.
just use it from here. So you can see it went to the
Okay.
382. But if you go, yeah. So on this occasion, I would be looking at the red.
Okay, because
Right.
this is what I did today. I traded a counter based on the low from the bottom.
Mhm.
And I was waiting for it to hit that 38.2. I
Mhm.
lost like $20. I was going small because I'm just testing this out.
Yep.
And I was waiting, but I had my fib drawn from the bottom.
Okay.
So it didn't
Yeah.
quite hit it.
So that's why I go from each stage.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, like let's say this one here.
Sorry, but basically I went from the low of the day to the high.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So like for this instance here, you can see how I went from this low because it's close to the trend, right? And then it shot up. I went from this high. You can see it came down 618, right? And then it basically ranged again.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would then keep your fib up, and you can see here, it came right back into the kill zone between the 50 and the
50 and
618,
618, yeah.
and which is just slightly past the next trend. So when things like this happen, here's the thing. So here's a little thing that I've noticed over the last year is that you can get into trades like this on the 618, right? But unless it's close to the trend, I find that they don't go too far.
Okay.
Right? So you can see here how it kind of came down. Like you could have definitely made pips here, right? Yeah. And then here.
But it's
so
far
you would
away
have been,
from the upper trend line.
You would have been close to entry several times. So you would have been, oh profit, no shit. Oh profit, oh shit. And then all of a sudden, boom, right?
Boom.
So what I try to do is wait till it's like super close to the trend line. Then that way it's like extra confluence, you know what I mean?
Perfect. Yeah, I'll test that out tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's like,
thanks, man.
Instead of like getting in here and going for 40 pips, which is still great, don't get me wrong, you could have gone in here and gone for 101.
Yeah.
In one shot, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Rather than like waiting a day and a half.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, thanks for that. That's a great tip.
So that's kind of where that's kind of where the patience comes into play.
Okay.
But yeah, guys, I appreciate you all coming on here.
Yeah, thanks
I
for
just wanted
taking
you
the
guys
time.
to know that I wasn't I wasn't
You flipped out, man. You fucking flipped out.
yeah, no, I definitely wasn't. I was just like
a spaz attack.
I was like, where did that come from? But yeah,
That's the fucking worst thing about the messaging, man, is you can't put any context behind what you're actually fucking saying in there.
No.
That's the thing. So
no, and the thing is, like, I loved our messenger one before because I can send voice notes all the time.
yeah.
I miss that messenger chat, man. I really do.
Yeah, I know, me too. Fucking Jeff Hughes and requesting that we use Slack.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where's that character nowadays?
Well, I stay away.
Is he still waiting for the zombie apocalypse and fucking hiding out or what?
And
What?
he's not off the deep end. Let's just put it that way.
Oh God.
I try to avoid the conversation. He wanted me to join this group that is like basically like spearheading the resistance. I'm like, what? Like, no, man. I just want to make money. I just want to help people make money. Like that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's great.
he's gone too far into self-development, I think, and fucking.
No, it's not even self-development anymore, man. It's just like fucking tin hat. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just wearing tin hats now.
I gotta add him back on Instagram, man, for a laugh. I believe him.
Well, it's his group on Facebook that he's most active on.
Is that his hacking his mind thing?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, what he's doing,
Just say it, Omar. You know you want to say
it, like, honestly, like I told him, I'm like, hey, man, like everything that's happening right now is like the conspiracy stuff that I was like into when I was like in my 20s. I'm 34 now, so like it's happening and it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. I have zero control on what is happening in the outside world. I have all the control of what's happening inside my house. So if there's pedophiles out there, guess what? I'm gonna lock my fucking kids inside and never let them out, right?
Yeah.
Then that way, pedophiles are never gonna have fucking access to my kids. You know what I mean? I'll always understand where they are. I'll always understand and keep them busy in activities that, you know, keep them out of trouble. And then when it comes to fucking the world going to shit, I'm going to continue trading, making money. And that way I don't have to fucking ever leave my house and go into the outside world.
Non-stop, man. I was listening on the radio. There's like a fear list, and one of it, another one that they're saying is a exploding star wiping out the world today. I'm like, they need to stop with all this shit, man. Like,
It's
no
fear
wonder
mongering.
why people are flipping out. It's just like you literally have to detune from everything, man, because
Oh, man.
it's non-stop.
There's this funny meme I saw the other day where it's like government is fighting with each other, Corona and everybody, and somebody's sitting on their phone just worrying about their trading and just like, I'm just
I
trying
saw
to make
that,
some money.
yeah.
I'm just trying to fuck the banks up right here and make some money.
That's exactly it, man. And honestly, like, don't get me wrong. I feel bad for people that aren't doing anything for themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to advance themselves into, because guess what? They're going to get left behind no matter what. It's already happening. But the thing is that like we have no control over any of that. The only control that we have is improving ourselves, making ourselves better, and then being well prepared for what is potentially going to happen. That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah,
The
lots of people.
election will be interesting at the least.
Yeah.
It'll be fucking crazy, man. Like, and here's the thing: it's gonna wipe out. It's gonna wipe out the middle class, and there's gonna be rich or poor.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not gonna be on the poor side, right? and it's an unfortunate reality. And what's actually gonna happen probably is they've been talking about this for the last couple of years. They're probably gonna have an even income for everybody. Universal.
Yeah,
Universal
income. I've heard that.
Yeah,
Lots.
and there's already a city in
Guaranteed income, whatever.
yeah. So there's already a city in Ontario that's taking part in this. They're kind of testing it out here in Canada.
That's just slave control, man.
Well, that's exactly it, man. Like, think of it this way: like with everything that's happening right now, and this is what I told my wife the other day. I'm like, what they're trying to do is basically piss the regular people off, right? The regular fucking everyday Joe that wants to go to fucking Walmart and get their groceries, and like they're literally pissing people off so that you don't want to do that anymore. Well, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna order your fucking groceries online, have them delivered to your door, and you're never gonna fucking leave the house, right? They're basically gonna scare people into believing that they can't leave their homes while they, you know, the rich and the famous continue living their lives the regular way because they know what's actually happening. You know what I mean? I can't remember the name of the movie, but Bruce Willis is in it, and it's like it was funny because when this all started, it reminded me of that movie, and it's basically based off of people that live their lives through avatars. I can't remember the name of it. Bruce Willis movies. But it basically it's these robots that are out in the world, right? And that the people that control them are stuck at home in these pods, and they live their lives vicariously through robots that are interacting in the outside world, because the outside world is full of viruses and fucking
That's fucked up.
evil shit. And like, as soon as all this started happening, I'm like, man, this is actually what's gonna happen. You're gonna have like overweight fucking losers sitting in their lounger chairs with like VR glasses, and you're gonna have. It's true.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's true, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe a fucking overweight 7-figure trader, man.
That's the
I'd rather
plan.
that.
That's the goals, man.
You just be straight vegged out, won't even move from your chair. Just
No, suck
How long
it.
have you been trading, Omar? If you don't mind me asking.
Just over a year, man. May 20th was my 1 year anniversary.
Nice.
So not long, but the thing is that I became obsessed.
Yeah, I am too.
So like,
I started in July, the first July 7. So
okay.
Kind of newbie, but putting in some hours. Just
And
trying
honestly,
to,
man, the best way to do it is putting in hours. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
only way. Like, I've lost sleep, man. I've been up. I remember one time my wife literally told me to go to sleep because I had been up for like 3 days straight, just fucking scalping gold. Oh, and that was before I understood like structure and all that shit. I was literally just going off the stochastic, just overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
how is like January to March markets? Like, aren't they a lot like more gravy or?
Yeah, honestly, like, to tell you the truth, summer months are the worst. And I think last year August was pretty shitty, but it's not been so bad. It hasn't been too bad. But
No.
the thing,
What's the worst month you've traded in? Is it December?
yeah, December. I didn't trade at all in December.
Okay. That's
So
what
I don't
Tyrone was
really
saying in
know,
his
but like,
videos.
I took the whole month of December off, and then January. So November and January were two of my best months,
Okay.
and then
That's crazy. I've been crushing it this summer.
yeah, and if you can crush it in the summer, like, usually here's the thing, right? So you got to think of it this way: the big banks, right? They're ran by very rich, successful people, and the traders that run them make millions of dollars a year. So during the summer months, a lot of those people are gone to the Hamptons or to like some nice places. It's literally their holidays. So that's why the markets are kind of they call it contraction, because they're kind of going sideways, right? So in the start of the let's say like September, October, November, you'll start seeing the expansion of the markets, and then that's when you'll start seeing like big moves. Big.
It's motivating, so I can bust my ass off until then. It's almost around the corner.
Yeah, man. And honestly, like, you'll see like because even before summer here, we were doing like fucking every session almost like 150 pips,
Oof.
right?
Nice.
And now you're freaking like, even Randy Webb messaged me. He's like, hey, how's trading? I'm like, it's good, but the thing is that like, you're not getting those massive fucking and I think that's where the harmonic scanner kind of fucks up, is that it's looking for long trades and you're not getting them. You know what I mean? You're looking for those big reversals, especially on the 4-hour charts, right? So like, the harmonic scanner would be saying, oh, sell now, and then your TP would be down here. It's not even gonna come close to that.
Yeah.
Right? It came to here and then reversed. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, in these next couple of months, you'll start seeing that more. You'll start seeing like where it actually goes from here all the way to down here in one move.
Oh, can't wait for those.
Yeah. So yeah, just get your studying in, and just be prepared for it, really.
Cool. Thanks so
I
much.
guess I'm gonna head out.
Of course, guys.
Thanks a lot, Omar, for taking the
Thanks,
time.
buddy. Later, guys.
Yeah, take care,
Take
guys.
care, everybody. Have a great day.
So you're staying up for a London session there, Omar, or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay up.
Yeah, I'm staying up too.
Sounds
I'll message
good.
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We'll probably
Yeah,
be
I've been staying up till like, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock every day, getting into like the Asian session. The start, or it's not the Asian, the start of the London session. So I've just been doing a couple breakouts from there. Also, yeah, if you guys want to look at this, This is also something that I've been kind of looking at. I've mentioned this before to you guys in the past. This opening range, Chris 333. So over the last couple of days, I've actually been testing this out. So you can see here how it kind of gives you a red and a green line. So what I've been doing is literally just boxing this out. And then at the start of the session, I get in on a breakout and then grade in on a breakout. Super simple. It's the same thing that Antoine's doing, right? With his breakout, London breakout. But here I caught 20 pips yesterday. And then,
That's during the A range?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So like they say not to if you're not experienced.
Yeah, yeah.
The A range is literally just,
Just there's not high volume, so you won't get the crazy moves
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah. But as long as you
I
like,
traded with Antoine before. I know his method. That's who I started with.
yeah. So this is the exact same
That's what he
method.
does.
Right? So like the Chris 333 indicator is basically just a consolidation box, right? So it gives you a green and a red line, and if you
Okay.
bring in your breakouts, or
Yeah.
you can just trade this,
Okay.
and then trade.
So
that.
you would enter that as soon as you see that big candle started to shoot up,
Yep.
and you would enter like a quarter within or halfway. How do you base your entry on that
So,
small box?
Yeah. So you can see here on this one here how it
Yeah.
kind of broke out a bit and then kind of sucked back in.
Okay.
So that's a clear indication that it's wanting to, right?
Okay.
And if it does it again, so here's what you got to realize, okay? So like, let's say on your supports, right? On your supports like this,
Yeah.
you have a potential breakout, right?
Mhm.
And then it gets sucked back in. So this is now your support, right? So then this
Yeah.
one here did the exact same thing, less, and then sucked back in. Because this third candle didn't do anything, now it's a bearish engulfing and then it went downwards, right?
Mm,
So you have
yeah.
to treat every support in that manner, right?
Okay.
So you can see here on yesterday's, right? So this one was a clear breakout, right? So you kind of see it didn't close outside, kind of closed on the inside, played around for a bit, and then it finally did its thing, came retested, right? So like here, this was just bullish, right? So like if you can just take these and just run with them, really, just take what you can get. 20 pips here, 20 pips there. You can see here you would have got out because it was at the 30, right? Came back, do the same thing, boom, 30 pips, a little bit more, came back, did the same thing. So as long as you can understand, like my thing is that I need a visual of why things are doing it, right?
Mhm.
And this indicator basically provides that. You basically say, okay, this is my support now for the day, right? This was literally the whole day's trading on GJ the other day. Didn't do a whole lot. So if you could have just broken out a couple times, boom, you're done for the day, right? And then A range, same thing. Boom, this one went further, right? So as long as you understand that, and then basically put your stop loss at break even, you could have rode this out for the rest of the session,
Nice.
right? So sometimes you luck out, and then you can, you can ride it out for a long period of time, and then sometimes you just do little ones like this: break out, break out, break out, and you're done for the day, right? So same thing here. This one broke out to the downside, and you would have walked away with a lot of pips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that one went 150 pips.
That's juicy.
Yeah. So like, I'm not telling you guys to, look for a setup, and in the A range, I'm basically saying that there is ways to trade it, and
Yeah, yeah.
just for a quick buck, right? Quick
Yeah.
little breakout, and you're good. This one happened at 3 a.m. So this would have been your, let's see here, matrix. So this would have been your A range, right? And then it broke out slightly. It hit your high. So if you would have done structure,
A little vector there.
so this is your structure. You can see why it rejected this area.
Yeah.
And then it basically broke out.
An
to the
M
downside.
shift, boom.
And then you had your shift there all the way to the bottom, right? So just a little added bonus so that you guys can understand how to trade those.
Perfect.
But yeah, there is a way to trade these.
Yeah.
Ready? Well, I'm heading out.
All right, guys. I appreciate
See
you
you
guys
on the
being on here.
charts later.
Yeah.
man.
Thanks a lot.
Take
We'll
care.
talk later, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one, buddy.